Hello and welcome to Amanda's Wellbeing Podcast, a podcast where we discuss all things relating to your well-being, including interviews with experts in the fields of nutrition, physical and mental health, and my 5-minute food facts series. I'm Amanda Hayes, your host, a nutritionist with a passion for well-being. Before I introduce today's guests, I will take a moment to let you know that you can subscribe to my podcast on YouTube, hit the red subscribe button, or on your favourite podcast app, iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, Spotify, or Google Podcasts. I will also mention that although I will often be speaking with experts, any information or advice provided in Amanda's Wellbeing Podcast is not intended to be used to treat, cure, or prevent injuries or medical conditions, and is not a substitute for advice from your own health professionals. Today I am here with Tony Karoussis. Tony and I met in our local gym where he trains me. Amongst other things, Tony is a ninja warrior, which I think is pretty impressive. So I'm really looking forward to chatting to Tony and learning more about the world of ninja warrior. Hi Tony.
Hey Amanda, how are you?
Yeah, good. And you?
Yeah, not too bad.
So I really enjoy speaking to people like you who have based their careers on pursuing something that they love doing. So in your case, I think it's Jiu-Jitsu and Ninja Warrior. Mm-hmm. Those I think are pretty extreme sports, you could say.
In a way.
And also you spend time in the gym doing strength work, which is where we met because Tony is my personal trainer. So I think, am I correct in saying that Jiu-Jitsu came before Ninja Warrior for you?
Yeah, so I started Jiu-Jitsu back in 2010.
Right. So
pretty much right after I left high school.
Right.
I actually, I started judo first.
Okay.
That was the first thing that I started because I got out of high school and I was like, well, I'm not playing soccer anymore. I need to do a different sport. And I wasn't really good at the team sports. So I was like, hey, let's try out these martial arts things, what's the worst that can happen? And I did a bit of research and everyone, I didn't like the look of karate because it was a bit like, oh, everyone does karate sort of thing. And then I found judo and started judo in 2009. I did that for, I think it was 5 years total. And then about a year into my judo training, one of my mates actually took me out to the Jiu-Jitsu school and they were training there and I was like, oh yeah, I'll come along. It will go hand in hand with judo.
Yeah.
So, because if you think of judo as standing up, you're throwing people to the ground and then if you win the fight with that throw, fight's over. But if you don't, then you have to go fight on the ground. So that was where I was like, hey, Jiu-Jitsu will actually be really good for that.
Yeah.
So I started going to both. Started training and then just sort of fell in love with Jiu-Jitsu and just started doing it more and more and more and then just stopped doing judo when I was traveling a bit for work and then still do Jiu-Jitsu to this day.
And I believe, Tony, there's two major forms of Jiu-Jitsu. There's the Japanese and the Brazilian, and I think you do the Brazilian. So how do they differ?
So if you think of Japanese Jiu-Jitsu as like bit of everything.
Yeah.
So there's some striking, there's chokeholds, there's throws, there's everything in there sort of thing. It's like this all-encompassing sport that everything else sort of stemmed out of.
I see.
So Jiu-Jitsu was, Japanese Jiu-Jitsu was the originator of a lot of the judo stuff.
Right.
And then the guy that invented judo, he found that he couldn't do a lot of the stuff in Jiu-Jitsu, so he modified it for his own body because he was a really short guy and was like, hey, I can't do all of these throws and stuff. Let me change it and let me make it work. And then, lo and behold, he created his own martial art. And then the Brazilians went one step further and they were like, hey, this whole ground game is an unexplored territory. Let's start exploring that.
See.
And that's where Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu came into the fold. So I do BJJ, which is a lot more similar to wrestling.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, similar to wrestling, except in wrestling, you're fighting for a pin. In Jiu-Jitsu, you're fighting for control, positional control. You're fighting for submissions, so chokeholds, arm locks, that sort of stuff. And
so how do you win? Like, if you get someone in a chokehold, do you then win the fight? Or?
Yeah, so depending on the competition,
right?
There's some competitions now that are submission only. And that is you have to submit the person to win the fight or referee's decision at the end of the time limit. There are some other competitions that are points-based as well, so you can win by getting more points than the other person.
So just tell me, what's submission?
So a submission would be like a chokehold, an arm lock, foot lock, whatever. Basically, any time that the other person says, "Hey, I give up,"
I can't move,
taps
or
out, taps
okay,
out basically.
All
so,
right,
yeah.
cool. And I also believe that, like judo and karate and some of the other martial arts, there are belts, different coloured belts in jiu-jitsu. So how do you get those?
It's a ranking system similar to judo, jiu-jitsu, karate. The thing with jiu-jitsu is it takes a long time between the belts. So there's only 5 belts. There's your white belt, your blue belt, your purple belt, brown belt, and black belt. There's beyond that, but that's, for the really crazy and insane and the pioneers sort of thing. So like it took me 2 years to get my blue belt, and it took me another 2 years after that to get my purple belt. And I've just been with injury and taking time off to do other things, Ninja Warrior mainly. That was 3-4 years ago now that I got my purple belt, so I've been a purple belt ever since. So basically to progress from each belt in jiu-jitsu, it's based on what your coach thinks.
I see.
And so if your coach believes that, hey, you as a white belt are starting to perform at a blue belt level in competition, in live drilling, in the gym, you're starting to understand the principles of jiu-jitsu and positional control and all that sort of stuff. If your coach deems that you are ready for that belt, he'll promote you. And then because of that, there is that whole, a coach can sort of sandbag someone, but that's
but I guess that could happen in probably any sport that's judged in that way, I guess. I don't know.
It does, yeah, but sometimes it does happen a little bit more in jiu-jitsu just because it's coach's decision basically. And if a coach deems, this student is winning competitions left, right and center, I'm going to keep him at white belt for a little bit longer just so he wins the club a few more medals. That's I won't get into the detail because that's a whole argument for a different day.
That's like a Pandora's box probably.
I don't want to get into that.
And for someone to be good at, for want of a better word, at jiu-jitsu, what are some of the major attributes that they need? Is it tactics or strength or?
I will say that strength does play a part in it.
Yeah.
Like a stronger person that has good technique will generally beat a smaller person, but technique does trounce strength. So I would say that there wouldn't be any one single area that you would need to focus on. But if there was just one and only one that I could choose, I'd probably say just focus on technique and being able to understand body positions, because a lot of the technique is based on leverage. So if you can get more leverage and momentum, you can apply a technique. Understanding, if you're holding someone here and you pull their left arm and move your left hip at the same time, their body's going to move to their right. If you grab their,
I could never work that out.
If you grab their right arm with your left hand and move your left hip and move them to their right, then their body is going to go that way because the weight is all that way, sort of thing. Like if you can understand that and start applying that better and better and better, you will succeed. I'd say if you had to focus on one thing, just focus on learning and flowing through technique instead of trying to force things all the time.
Do many women do it?
Yeah, there is. It's definitely growing.
Yeah.
It's like jiu-jitsu as a sport is growing every day.
Yeah, you told me that. It's interesting.
And, like one of the biggest sort of girl groups in Australia, Australian Girls and Gi, they run like female only seminars, camps, all that sort of stuff. So it's growing bigger and bigger and bigger every day. And
that's
you see
good,
more women doing it, which is awesome.
Because I imagine that it's sort of women should be fighting against other women just because of the way their bodies are compared to men. Or can men and women fight against? Is fight even the right word?
Yeah,
compete
fight,
against,
train, compete,
train
whatever
you
want to roll, whatever you want to say. It's all right, I guess. So, like in competition, women should compete against women.
Yeah, Like tennis.
Yeah, but I won't say no to a female competing against a guy, because that does happen, has happened in competition, and the female has won. It's happened before. But in terms of like if you were doing it just for self-defense, I definitely throw women up against guys, because
that makes sense.
you're more like, as sad as it sounds, like a female is more likely to get attacked by a male in the streets, and
than the other way around.
if she's only been training against women, then she's not going to know how to defend against someone that's that much stronger than her.
That's a really good point.
So it's really good that women are starting to do that, and it's giving them the confidence to go out.
I bet it does. Yeah,
sort of stuff
that's fantastic. Have you noticed, sort of personally, some changes after you'd been practicing for a while, sort of physical or mental changes to yourself?
Yeah. So when I first started, I wasn't like the most confident person. And like, I can honestly say now that Jiu-Jitsu has played a big part in who I am today. Yeah. And that's why I like believe that it will be a part of my life for forever now, because it's had such a big impact on my adulthood. I say adult loosely. I was thinking,
He's a baby, listeners.
Like, when I first started, I wasn't the fittest at all. I was like, I could barely, like, I remember training in soccer at high school, and everyone would always make fun of me because I couldn't run around the oval. Like, that was always one thing that I just sucked at. And then I started doing Jiu-Jitsu and just fell in love with it and started doing it more and more and more. And I wanted to do more and push myself a little bit more. And then the physical changes started happening. Like, I got stronger. When you get thrown around in judo, your bones tend to harden up as well. So I didn't actually break that many bones anymore. Yeah. Because I had a fair few broken bones as a kid. Definitely fitter. I got a lot stronger as well. But physical changes aside, the mental aspect was probably the biggest change.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? That's one of the great things about movement and sport, isn't it?
Yeah, and like, being able to have confidence, like, because I walked into the gym not knowing anyone, and I was just like, you walk up to someone who's like, hey, do you want to spar? Like, you're just this new person that has no idea what they're doing, and you get put in this really uncomfortable situation. You're just like, okay, how do I do things? And you just sort of, you learn to think under pressure. Yeah. You learn to make decisions in an uncomfortable position, and then you just get more confident based on that, because it's like, hey, back when I was 19, I was 75 kilos or something, sparring with 110 kilo guys, and just being like, hey, let's do this. Having the confidence to be able to do that was massive.
Because one of the things I read about Jiu-Jitsu is that it builds character, and just some of the things you've said attest to that, the confidence, the decision under pressure, and all of that. So yeah, it does sound very cool, I've got to say.
Yeah, and on that note, like, building the character, a lot of the people that I met through Jiu-Jitsu have played a big part in who I am today. Like, some of the people that I met through Jiu-Jitsu are some of my best friends to this day. One of them, he knows who he is if he's listening. Like, I look up to him like a big brother sort of thing. And he sort of planted the seed as to what sort of person I wanted to be down in the future. And that he didn't make me change my career path. He inspired me to change my career path. Because originally I was an engineer, and then became a PT. And he was a big inspiration and influence in that decision. And so it built character because I was just surrounded by awesome people all the time, and the community was a big part of that.
Is there a sort of code of respect and fair play, for want of better words? Like a guidelines on how you act in terms of competition?
Every gym's going to have their own culture. Yeah, and like, every time you step into a new gym, you go and visit another gym overseas, for example, they'll have a different culture there, but usually it's always one of respect. You should always respect your training partner. You should always respect the tap, the submission. You should always just, if we don't have a training partner, you can't train either.
Yeah, so that's true.
You show everyone respect and show your coach respect and that sort of stuff. And that was a real awesome thing to sort of come into, where it was, everyone is, even if you're a white belt sparring with a brown belt, everyone is equal still. It's just skills are different, and everyone will support you. Everyone will try and teach you something. You can learn something new from everyone. That was really cool.
I guess it sounds a bit like you check your ego at the door, like you don't bring it in
Very
to the
much,
gym.
very much so. And that was one thing that I had to learn going into it, because I was like, hey, I've done a year of judo. You know, I can smash a lot of the
Yeah,
guys
and you're
here.
a young bloke full of testosterone.
19 years old, had been training in a gym for 5 years, had been doing judo for a year. I walked in there and I sparred with a blue belt, and he flying armbarred me in the first minutes. So
And you're like, whoa.
that was very humbling. But I adjusted straight away.
Yeah.
And I was like,
And also, I guess from your point of view, if that happens, you probably makes you think, wow, I could do that too. I can learn that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Initially when it happened, it was like, oh damn, that was just savage. But then like you start seeing all these like brown belts and purple belts and all these higher level belts, and they're moving so well, and it's just like, hey, I want to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And you start trying to do that, and one day you do, and it's cool. And
Yeah.
then you get the same thing from the white belts. The white belts start looking up at you and just going, hey, I want to be like Tony one day. It's like, cool.
Yeah, it sounds fantastic, like a very supportive community.
Yeah.
And you said that it's growing in popularity here. So what are some of the examples? Are there new gyms opening up and things like that?
Oh, there's new gyms opening up all the time.
Right.
Like a higher level belt will get to a certain rank, brown belt, black belt, and then stem off from the gym that he was training at and open up his gym. And that's happened a lot here in Adelaide. Like when I first started, there was 3 or 4 major gyms.
Right.
Now I think there's like 12
Wow.
in South Australia.
Yeah,
So
that's a massive growth in a 10-year period.
I think there's 12. There's probably more, but
Yeah.
there's a lot. A lot of growth has happened, and there's gyms popping up all the time now, and it's just about finding the right one for you that fits you basically. Because you could walk into one gym and you don't like the people there, you don't get along with the people there, you don't get along with the coach, but then you walk into the next one, it's just like, oh, these guys
feels like home.
Yeah, it feels like home.
Tony, the thing that I'm really fascinated about is Ninja Warrior. So Ninja is another sport that's growing in popularity in Australia. In fact, it's kind of just skyrocketed in the last few years. So how did you become interested in that?
So a little bit of background on Ninja as a sport. It started in Japan as a TV show called Sasuke. And that's still running. I think they're up to like the 40th season or something like that. It's mental. And then from there, America got wind of it because it started playing in America. And then America was like, hey, let's do something ourselves. And then they made their own Ninja Warrior TV show. And then it grew from America. And they're in their coming up to their 12th season now.
Right.
And then obviously, Australia saw it and was like, yep, let's make our own season here. So when I was a kid, I grew up watching American Ninja Warrior. I was watching American Ninja Warrior, and I always sort of had this feeling. I was just like, hey, as a primary schooler, I was always really, really good at the monkey bars. Like I would just fling myself through them. I'd skip 5 or 6 rungs on the way down.
Right.
I was really, really good at them. Like if I toot my own horn.
You can do that.
And then like watching the American one, I was like, I want to be able to try this one day. Like, but obviously I can't go to America and try it. Anyway, then season 1 appeared on TV one day, and I was like, oh, sweet, it's here in Australia.
It's cool, yeah.
Like I sort of got wind of it, and I wasn't sure if it was serious the first time around, and then I saw it season 1 play, and I was like, okay, I wanted to do this for so long, let's just go and do it. So I started doing it. I went down to one of the obstacle gyms here in Adelaide and just started, and still doing it 3 years on now. So.
And I know you've entered some competitions, and also I think there are different levels of competitions, not just the one we see on television.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a bit about the competitions and which ones you've entered?
Yep. So there's like, the way I like to sort of picture it is there's different leagues.
Right.
So Ninja Warrior, the TV show, would be one league. You have your own separate entry and qualifications to get into that league, for example. Then you've got the Australian Ninja Games, which has its own point system, its own rules system that you would need to qualify in a state qualifier to be able to get to the national finals. Then there's the Ninja Challenge League, which again has its own rules, own point system, own qualifiers to get to the national finals as well. The Ninja Challenge League has some sort of affiliation with the National Ninja League, which is in America. And they have, again, a point system, qualifiers, world championship at the end of it as well. And then ANG, Australian Ninja Games, has affiliation with Ultimate Ninja Athletic Association, UNAA, in America. And so basically anyone that sort of comes first or second or third basically gets a podium spot in Australia, qualifies for the UNAA World Championships in America. And then there's a few other ones. There was a competition in Russia as well last year. That they were saying that it was going to be like a trial to qualify for the demonstration sport for the Olympics. I don't know what happened there, but it was classified as a world championship over in Russia as well. So there was that too. And it's growing globally. So there's new competitions popping up all over the world now.
So how do you choose which comp to enter? Does it sort of depend where you live, or?
So for me, it's, whatever competition happens here in Australia or in Adelaide, I'll go and do it.
Yeah.
I've, floating around online, you see, okay, there's a competition in Perth for the NCL. I might go and do that one. Or there's one in Melbourne. I might go and do that one.
Okay. So you can enter different leagues.
You can enter different leagues.
Right.
You can enter different, different state qualifiers and that sort of stuff. You're free to go and do that as well. You just got to pay your own way there, basically.
Right. So tell me about which competitions have you entered, or just tell us about one or two, perhaps.
All of them. I've done all of them. So last year, 2019, I set myself some goals at the start of the year saying, all right, this year, I really want to focus on ninja. I don't want to sort of go between jiu-jitsu and ninja. I want to just focus on ninja. So my goals at the start of the year were qualify for NCL Grand Finals, which were in Perth, qualify for Australian Ninja Games Finals, which were actually happened to be held here in South Australia. So that was awesome. I didn't have to travel. And then the third goal was qualify for the TV show. So I ended up achieving 2 out of 3.
Pretty good.
So I got into the NCL finals in Perth, and then also the ANG finals in Adelaide last year, sorry. And then Ninja Warrior TV show, we're sort of in the process of getting onto that. So we'll So that still remains a goal of yours? Yes. Yeah. Still want to be able to go on TV one day.
Yeah. We'll it's great to watch. Yeah. It's so the people that you actually see on the television. I guess there's lots of stuff that happens behind the scenes, but they're so athletic, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I love the way you seem to get people from all different backgrounds. I think the guy that won last year was a golfer.
Yeah. Charlie Robbins. He's a golfer background as well.
Yeah, but I also read he was a gymnast as a kid, so I was thinking, well, that's got something to
high,
do with it.
High level gymnast, but then plays golf on the side as well. So, so it's definitely a goal of mine, but it's not the be all and end all goal anymore. It's because there's the UNAA World Championships, which I did go to last year in America. Yeah. That's another goal. If I wanted to go and do that.
Sounds like there's plenty of opportunities out there.
Plenty of opportunities, yeah.
And I think the thing about the TV show as well, it's not just based on your skills, is it? They want to get a story happening as well.
Yeah. So they want to be able to.
Yeah.
Present you in a certain way.
Yeah, exactly. So they need to make it entertaining.
Yeah, exactly.
And do you get nervous before you compete?
Yes, because I think it's normal for everyone to get nervous before a competition.
Yeah,
regardless of if you're the most elite of the elite athletes, I believe that they still get nervous as well.
I think they do. Top tennis players do.
It's just how you would deal with those nerves. So I spent a lot of last year learning to deal with my nerves before competition. So in the last 3 competitions that I've done, the last 3 that I competed in were the UNAA World Championships, ANG Grand Finals, and the NCL Grand Finals. I feel like I finally found that sweet spot where I know how to deal with my nerves now. So, we'll see if that I've still got that sweet spot.
Yeah.
But I'll say yes, I do get nervous, with a potential to not get nervous anymore. So
right, yeah.
My mentality now when I sort of compete is to just go in there and have fun, because I sort of realized that I was the only person that would ever put pressure on myself.
Yeah, that's right.
Every time in a jiu-jitsu competition, I'd lose a fight. In a ninja competition, I'd fall off an obstacle. No one ever said to me, hey, you messed up. You're bad. No one ever said that to me. I was the only person that was thinking that. Everyone actually came up to me and said, hey, you did really, really well.
Yeah, it's amazing. You
unlucky,
got that far, yeah.
Unlucky this time, get back in the gym, just keep training. And, as soon as I realized that, I was like, wait, I'm the only person that puts pressure on myself.
Yeah.
So I just sort of realized that, hey, it's just all about having fun, and let's just go out and have fun and just see what happens.
Well, it looks fun. I mean, it looks hard, but fun.
It is.
How do you actually train, though? Because you don't always know what obstacles you're going to have to face, do you?
Yeah. So I just try and expose myself to as much as possible.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what obstacles are going to be thrown in front of you in competition. So you could get into a competition and the first obstacle is something that you've never ever trained before. But because you've spent so much time on all these other obstacles, you can go, hey, that's similar to X obstacle.
Yeah.
Let's try this and see how that works. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you do fall off on the first obstacle. It's the nature of the sport.
Yeah.
So just trying to expose myself to as many obstacles and variety and things that I can do. And just trying to always just challenge what I can do and what I think is possible, because that's the only way that you're really going to get better.
And I think you do some rock climbing, don't you? Because you need to have that strong grip.
Yeah, so I've started doing a lot more bouldering now as well, just to help build the fingertip strength and that sort of stuff. And it has good transferability between ninja, bouldering, jiu-jitsu. All of it is actually pretty interchangeable. So
the thing that strikes me when I watch it, it seems to be a lot of upper body strength. I don't know the names of but when you have to jump up, you're holding that bar and you have to
the salmon ladder.
Ladder.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So that's there is a lot of upper body strength involved, but a lot of it has to do, a lot of success in competition has to do with efficiency of movement. Because on a salmon ladder, for example, you can really muscle that movement and just sort of weight, sort of as if you were doing a weight, I don't know, a slow pull up sort of thing, and then really launch it like that. Or you can learn how to fling your body into it and use the momentum from that. And that will actually save a lot of energy, maybe a bit of time as well, and you'll get through that movement a lot easier. And that's what I've found has been the biggest thing, is just getting more efficient with my movements. Because every time that I stop and go, hey, I'm going to muscle this movement, then my grip is taxed for the next obstacle, and I need it. And so it's more, you do need a certain amount of upper body strength, but being able to move efficiently through those obstacles would be the best thing.
So what in your opinion for you is the hardest obstacle? They're all hard.
None, to be honest.
Really? Because they're all equally hard, or?
No, because I think it's all in your head.
Right.
You looking at an obstacle and going, hey, this obstacle looks hard. You're automatically putting yourself at a disadvantage to try and complete it. As soon as you look at it and go, it's interesting, you've changed your sort of perception on it and go, hey, instead of you thinking, oh, I can't do that sort of thing, or that looks hard, and you start getting this sort of defeatist attitude, when you start thinking, hey, that looks interesting, let's try and do this, let's try and do that, you start putting yourself in a more positive mindset. And as corny as it sounds, it actually does help. Yeah. Because on the salmon ladder, I actually fell off of that when I first started training and blew my knee out, and then had to have ACL surgery. And it took me a whole year and a half to get back from that.
What a pain.
So the salmon ladder was a big thing, a big mental block for me for a very long time, for at least a year and a half. And then there was just a time where I was just like, all right, today I have to do this. And I got it in my head that I wasn't going to leave the gym until I actually made one jump on the salmon ladder. And up until that point, I'd always thought, oh, it's too hard. I can't do it anymore because I'm,
Might hurt my
I
knee.
might hurt my knee. I might do that. Yeah. And then on that day, I was like, no, I'm going to make this jump. And as soon as I started positively influencing what I was going to do, I made the first jump. And then it was like, oh, sweet. Now
I can do it.
Yeah. And then I was just like, okay, well, I'll step back and off we go. Like, I can leave the gym now. Like, I literally got one jump, jumped off, and then grabbed my stuff and left because I was like...
Finish on a high.
Oh, yeah, I was excited. I was like, yeah, let's get out of here. And then I went back and I was like, okay, today I'm going to do 2.
Yeah.
I did 2 jumps. And then I just started, as soon as I got it into my head that, hey, I can do this, I started doing it. And then sometimes now when I jump up to it, I'll look at the bar and then I'll think back to when I fell. And it's like, as soon as I get that in my head, it's like, okay, I got to fight those thoughts to get out of it, because then if I don't, then I'll fail that obstacle again. But if I just get on there and just go for it, I do it. And so that's why I don't think there is any hardest obstacle.
Yeah.
There are some that are harder than others, but in my head, all obstacles are easy. It's just being able to do them. So every obstacle is easy. You just have to work out how to do it.
Having the technique and Oh, that's interesting.
There's no reason why anyone can't do anything unless it's, beyond the realm of physics.
Yeah.
If it breaks the laws of physics, then it can't be done.
Yeah.
But there's no reason why anyone can't do any obstacle. It's just, you got to tell your mind that you can, and once you do, then you start.
And you've got to really want to do it, I think, too.
Yeah,
don't
that
you?
too.
I mean,
me getting up that salmon ladder, I really wanted to get that salmon ladder.
I have no desire to get up a salmon ladder, I can tell you.
Yeah, that's fine. I can tell you I have no desire to do Ironman competition. So.
Yeah, there we go. We're all different.
Yeah.
Do you think Jiu-Jitsu has prepared you well for Ninja Warrior? Just obviously physically, but also maybe mentally?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I jumped into the gym, the ninja gym, and I knew how to move my body already.
Yeah.
A lot of people that go in there don't really have a lot of body awareness just yet. And you see them, they don't know how to kick their hips to start up a swing. They don't know they don't know positional awareness in space. Jiu-Jitsu gave me a lot of that, as well as grip strength. Because in Jiu-Jitsu, you're constantly grabbing the uniform and pulling and fighting for grips and that sort of stuff. So I had a decent amount of grip strength. Not enough, but I had a fairly good grip when I went in there.
The average.
Better than the average person. And so being able to move my hips and understand, where my legs are in space, it sort of gave me a stepping stone into
that's
the world of ninja.
Yeah.
And then, now that I've gone back to Jiu-Jitsu and learnt a little bit more of my body through ninja, I can do a lot more moves a lot easier, because it's like, I still know how to move. I still know how to do this thing.
So they're quite complementary, obviously.
Yeah, they actually, as weird as it sounds, they actually do complement each other pretty well.
And what about, do you pay any particular attention to your diet in the lead up to a competition? Is there anything special you do, or do you just sort of eat the same way all the time?
The only thing I would do in a lead up to a competition would be just tighten up what I'm eating. So, let's say I'm 6 weeks out from a competition, I'll try and stop eating, the sweet stuff, the party food, all that sort of stuff. So I'll stop eating pizza. I've
just got to say, Tony's Greek, so he probably has some beautiful food. Does your mum cook for you?
Yeah, occasionally.
Yeah.
Occasionally. I do a lot of my cooking. So,
do you?
Yeah.
Do you cook Greek style food or just anything?
I'll just cook whatever. I'm pretty, to be honest, I am pretty bland and boring in terms of what I eat on the daily. I'll just have, I'll eat the same thing day in, day out, just because it's simple. It works for me. It's convenient for me. I'm not too fussed about it anymore. So, but, when mum does cook something cool, I'll try and have it. It depends if I'm leading up to a competition or not.
Yeah. Does she ever cook baklava?
Not her. My aunties do.
And that's one of my favourites.
That's a slippery, dangerous.
Oh, it is, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of diet leading up to a competition, I tend to not change anything too much anymore, because I used to do drastic like when I first started jiu-jitsu, I used to do all these drastic, weight cuts and cut this out, do this, and, messed up my body a little bit. Now I've sort of, through my own study and through the career change to being a PT and learning about nutrition and how to fuel your body properly, I don't tend to change much at all leading up to a competition.
So you've kind of found what works for you.
I found what works for me, and I just basically tighten up.
Yeah.
I won't have pizza. I won't have. Not that I eat that much of it anyway.
No, but you just would make an effort not to have anything. I just make an effort not
to have anything. So I got a competition coming up in the next couple months where I want to be as light and lean as possible. So I'm making a conscious effort to not have, the occasional chocolate here and biscuit there and that sort of stuff. It's just like, all right, let's just stay focused on what we're eating at the moment. And, So,
that sounds good. Sounds like you've got a pretty sensible approach to it all.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in, living that healthy lifestyle all year round, because there's no point in, getting on a diet and then going off a diet and then in your off diet, you put on all this weight.
Yeah, then you have to.
And when you're on diet, you lose it all. But then when you go back to the off diet, you put it all back on because it just doesn't work.
Apart from not being good for you, for your metabolism, it's also not good for you mentally. That stress of on a diet, off a diet, on, off.
So through my study and everything, I've found out that you just need to eat foods that you enjoy. Yeah. And so all the food that I eat, even though it may look bland and boring from the outside, I love it.
You love it. Yeah.
I love, chicken and vegetables. I love my fish and my
simple, healthy foods.
Simple, healthy foods that have got a lot of great flavour and that sort of stuff. So
that sounds
and
good.
That works. So.
And also, this is a wellbeing podcast, I like to talk about the link between, well, in your case, movement and sport and exercise and well-being. Mm-hmm. So it's obvious that there are physical benefits to it. So if we just look at those, so why do you think it's important for people to move?
Because we sit way too much.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, today's society, myself included, so when I'm not up and about and moving and doing stuff, I know this about myself, I'll just go home and sit at my laptop and just watch Netflix.
Ninja.
I'll watch Ninja, because I got to study.
Yeah.
We've become a society where we sit down a lot.
Yeah.
We spend 8 to 10 hours sitting all the time, and that's why they say sitting is the new smoking. Because there's so many health problems associated with sitting for so long. So why is it important for people to move? Because we don't do it enough.
Yeah.
When you sit down, your hips are in this poor position, your posture is bad, your organs are actually bad, blood doesn't flow properly, metabolism starts to slow, all that sort of stuff. You get fatigued, posture suffers, all that sort of stuff. And that's why it's important to move, is because your body was designed to move.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, your shoulder joint is supposed to be able to rotate 360 degrees. Some people don't do that anymore because their shoulders are so far forward.
Yeah.
So
especially the way we hunch over a computer.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm totally guilty of that.
Oh, me
so
too.
Even if you're aware of it like we are, you still fall into that trap.
Yeah, 100%. And I try and make a conscious effort to make better habits throughout the day, but sometimes you just fall into those bad habits.
And you get absorbed sometimes in what you're doing, so you think, oh gosh, I've been sitting down.
The worst is when I'm on my phone, I'm looking at something or I'm playing a game on my phone, I'll stop and then I'm like, wait, my posture is I'm like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, and it's horrible.
At least you recognise it though.
Yeah.
And then if we talk about strength, so because Tony is my trainer, he's helping me with all sorts of strength exercises. So what's the importance of building your muscle strength, do you think?
So there's a lot. So the first thing that sort of pops to mind when you ask that is, when you age, you actually lose muscle. Mm-hmm. So because of that, that's when you see older people, they're struggling to walk. Like my grandfather is struggling to walk up and down the stairs. That's why strength training is important, because as we age, we lose muscle. We want to try and maintain as much muscle as possible for as long as we possibly can, because we want to be able to move. We want to be able to walk. We want to be able to get up and go and enjoy our life, basically. So that's why building muscle is so important. And building strength comes with that as well. And then there's the other health benefits of that as well. Like whenever you increase muscle mass, your calorie expenditure actually increases as well.
Yeah, it does.
Muscle is the biggest and most metabolically active tissue in our body.
Yeah.
So the more muscle you have, the faster metabolism you have, and therefore the more fat you're going to burn when you're sitting at rest. Then on like extending from that, muscle is also a nutrient storage facility. So basically all your nutrients are stored in your muscles. And so when your body needs something, it goes straight to muscle.
Yeah.
So it's constantly like depositing stuff, taking stuff out, that sort of stuff. So the more muscle you have, the more nutrients you have in your body.
Fuel.
So,
yeah,
the more fuel you're going to have. And, I'm not saying everyone needs to go out and be this Arnold Schwarzenegger style bodybuilder.
No.
Just a little bit of strength training just to maintain the muscle that you have is just going to benefit you in so many ways.
Because there's no reason why elderly people, shouldn't be able to move. Like maybe not as fast, but still to be mobile.
No, exactly. And there's a great photo that I like to show people, especially older clients that I get and see, explaining to them why they need to strength train. The photo is, it's got a 40-year-old triathlete and it's got an MRI of his quad.
Oh, yeah, I've seen this.
Yeah, and then it goes to the 70-year-old sedentary person and his quad has got little to no muscle and the rest of it is made up of fat. And then it's got a 70-year-old triathlete, his quadriceps are taking up the entire thing and there's very little fat, and it just shows, use it or lose it.
Yeah, exactly. It does, doesn't it?
So...
And then I was just looking at your Facebook account, Tony, for some of the research for this podcast, and you said you had a really great post on there. You talked about 2019 being a really, massive year for learning, success and shortcomings. But you said the biggest thing you learned was you just need to have fun.
Yeah. And
when you have fun, your life becomes better. So your goal this year is just have more fun. So how are you going to do that?
So like with training for ninja, I've just I realized that, hey, I can actually do a lot of other sports as well. So my idea of fun these days is to just be active and go and try all these different sports. So I want to go and try archery, for example. I'm going to try powerlifting. I've never done a powerlifting competition in my life. So I'm just going to go and compete in a powerlifting competition. I'm gonna try run a half marathon.
Oh, are you? That's cool.
We'll see if we actually do that one though. I'm gonna do city to bay, stuff that I wouldn't normally do. I'm actually pushing myself to go and do because I've realized that you have fun by experiencing new and different things.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's what I want to do this year. Is I really want to experience all these different things that life has to offer. So I want to try new things.
The cool thing for you about that is that everything you do probably contributes in some way to your ninja training, doesn't it?
Yeah. The other day I started teaching myself how to juggle.
Oh, right.
And I tell people, I'm just I'm learning how to juggle. And they're just like, why are you doing that? I'm just like, well, it builds hand-eye coordination. They're just like, oh, so that actually helps with ninja, doesn't it? And it's like, yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So learning to juggle, because you're building hand-eye coordination. And then I want to take it to some crazy circus act. Where I'm like,
I can't wait to see this.
It's going to take me a while to do it, but yeah.
Oh, that's
stay tuned.
Cool. Stay tuned.
Yes.
And so the final question that I like to ask all of my guests, if you could recommend 2 things that all people could do to improve their well-being, what would they be?
This is a hard one because
it is hard.
I can't I'm struggling to narrow it down to just 2 things.
Mate, you can say more. All right.
So, I think the best way to do it would be split it up into if you were just looking at wellness in terms of just life and living. I think the 2 best things that you could do for health and wellness in terms of just your life and lifestyle would be to actually work less and sleep a lot more. And unfortunately, working less isn't always an option, but even just working smarter and being able to spend time outside of work with family, with friends, outdoors, doing that sort of stuff, that's going to improve your life a lot more. And then obviously sleep. No one sleeps enough these days. A lot of us are sleep deprived, me included. if you can sleep more, you're going to recover a lot more. You're going to improve your mood, improve your mental health as well, improve your metabolism. Just everything is better when you sleep properly. In terms of like gym and fitness stuff, strength training.
Yeah.
Definitely, if regardless of what sort of athlete you are, if you're a Iron woman, if you're a ninja warrior, if you're a jiu-jitsu fighter, strength training.
Yeah.
It's going to benefit you in more ways than just building muscle, big showy muscles. If you focus on good technique and learning to lift properly, you're going to see massive benefits throughout your life as well as the sports that you're training
I totally
for.
agree. I mean, I've felt a lot of benefits since I've been training with you. I feel a lot stronger. My core's a lot stronger. And when I lift weights, I don't get injured by it.
Yeah.
So
that's another thing is, don't overdo it as well.
Yeah.
So a lot of people will sort of jump in, like it's the new year now where, what's the date today? The 16th?
The 15th?
15th.
Yeah.
Something like that. We're fresh into the new year. Everyone's got this big, the top goal is, well, one of the top goals for New Year's resolutions is I want to lose weight.
Yeah.
So people will jump into, this 6 or 7 day training regime, and then within 2 weeks, they dropped off because it's too much. So the best advice I could say is don't overdo it, because you want to build up small and keep it up for a long time, because results don't happen overnight.
Yeah.
So
absolutely true.
Do a little bit each day.
So Tony, if people want to follow you or contact you, what's the best way?
Probably through Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
That'd be the best way.
Yeah, cool. Or I can put links to that in the show notes.
Yeah, that'd be the easiest way, because I'm always, at the moment, I'm taking a little bit of a break from social media just because I need to just...
Yeah, good on you.
Defrag my mind for a bit.
Yeah, good idea.
So, that'd be the best way. Like, I'll still answer messages and stuff, but that'd be the best way.
Well, thank you for coming on today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Okay, great. And that was Ninja Warrior Tony Karoussis. You can subscribe to Amanda's Wellbeing Podcast on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, and while you're there, click on the bell to be alerted when new episodes are available. You can also subscribe on your favourite podcast app, iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, Spotify, or Google Podcasts. And you can follow the podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Direct links to all social media can be found on the subscribe page of my website at www.amandaswellbeingpodcast.com. If you would like to contact me, you can send me a message via the contacts page on my website. Please feel free to suggest topics you'd like to learn more about and people you'd like to hear interviewed, and I'll do my best to deliver that to you. Producing the podcast is a labour of love. We put in a lot of time, money and effort behind the scenes. So if you enjoy Amanda's Wellbeing Podcast and would like to make a contribution via Patreon, PayPal or by Amazon to help ensure we continue to provide you with excellent content, please visit the Contribute page on my website. Finally, please take a minute to leave a ratings on iTunes. It improves visibility and will help me source excellent guests. Thank you for tuning in. Eat well, move well, think well.